Scabba-da-ba-ba-da.
Scabadoo beep bop beep bop a doo ba doo scabadoo ba doo beep.
Da-da-da-da-da. Ba-ba-da-da-da. Ba-da-ba-da-bang-bang-down. Bong-bong-bong-bong. Bong-bong-bong-bong. Oh man, now I'm thinking about some Jackson 5
Bump.
funk.
Nice.
Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Okay, all right. I got it. My bad. Taryn's on there with us. Cyber Monday with the nerd news. Yeah, we got to talk about.
Cyber Monday bump. Cyber Monday bump bump. Yeah.
That's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I like it.
Black Friday, Blacker Saturday, and Blackest Sunday. Which naturally the follow up is Cyber Monday.
Cyber Monday.
Yeah, I feel like Cyberpunk 2077 should have just delayed their release until Cyber Monday, and then repurposed the name.
Oh. Oh man. Gosh.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Woulda, shoulda, coulda.
Yep. That's the university I graduated from.
Saiyan University.
Ooh.
Majored in child psychology.
Mhm.
With a minor in pain.
Comically enough, one of the karate folks, I think he is from the UK. His name is Sensei Pain, and it doesn't help that he's really, really good. I think he's also a doctor.
That's amazing.
He might not be, but narratively, it sounds cooler if he is.
Let's just go with that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, folks. It is Monday, November 29th. That means there are 32 days left in the year. This is our last November show. It means we only have a couple more shows before the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So, this night's State and Nerd Union, we'll be talking about Cyberpunk. Is it good now?
Yes.
For console gamers, we'll talk about you in a moment, though.
Yeah.
And there's some controversy with the recent release of Hawkeye, which we'll break down a little bit for you. Help explain why fans are why they might be excited for the show, are trying to boycott it in support of the artists that helped make up the comic run. And then lastly, we got Cyber Monday things to talk about, just some deals, that last minute deals that are still going out there. And get you up to speed on that. All that starting now.
Now.
We must start here and no later. Here and no further. All right. Hello, everyone. I'm the Commander Ship, and this is State of the Nerd Union. I already gave you the date. You don't need to hear it again. I'm joined by my good friend and co-host, Eminent Doom X.
Yep.
Wearing you know what? I didn't even get to compliment you on the shirt.
Thanks, yo. I am wearing a Nintendo shirt, and they're probably one of the only game company I won't talk smack about today.
You know what? That would be funny though. If we knew we were going to talk smack about a company, have their shirt on that day.
It's a premonition. It's like, oh, he's got his Activision shirt on. What's happening with Activision?
Oh gosh, that'd be amazing. They'd be like, wait, are they a fanboy? Oh no. All right. So even though we said Cyber Monday deals, we're not actually going to go and list through every single one. IGN, Wired, Engadget, a lot of other sites have put together some really good lists. So really, I'm just going to highlight what I have seen over the weekend. As you all know, I've talked about Wario64 on Twitter all the time. So he has kept track of a lot of great deals. I still recommend you go over, follow his. I'm not getting paid to say that. Just go. He's a really cool dude. Yeah, follow his drops, his announcements and things on his Twitter account. But we were messaging over the weekend, just like kind of replying back and forth, and it just seemed like Walmart normally is fine for games. I mean, I'm not saying they're good or bad; they're just usually fine. This year, they really seem to knock a lot out of the park. They just had a lot of games that were at a discounted rate. So,
nice.
like normally, I mean, wherever you want to shop at or support, that's on you for just putting information out there. But it just seemed like Walmart consistently had a lot of games, even if they weren't doing the buy two get one, just had a lot that were marked down. I even hate to let this bird out of the bag because other collectors would be like, "Why are you telling folks this?" But if you've been trying to get Nier Replicant and haven't been able to get a physical copy of it, Walmart has had it flash on and on the site occasionally, so that's also been, and also not for like $50 or $60. It's been in like 14 to 24, so it's really good. Some of that could be the other retailers that are taking advantage of the Walmart marketplace, so maybe they're also marking their stuff down along with the Walmart prices, so that could be what's also driving that. But it's just, yeah, it's a nice surprise. Walmart's doing pretty good.
Right on.
And we already said earlier this month that a lot of Black Friday deals had started earlier in the month. A lot of them also have not necessarily turned off. So if you enjoyed a particular deal leading into Black Friday, it's a good chance that it's still on. Case in point, GameStop's buy two, get one on various generations of consoles. They even got a buy two, get two on 360 and PS3 games. They're still trying to just, they're just trying to get rid of inventory on that one. Those are still available as of this writing. Again, for that buy two, we don't know. We didn't hear an end date, so we still don't know exactly when that's going to end. Cool.
Right on.
And I guess, do we want to talk about? This might be a good time to bring up. You want to talk on the Hulu thing real quick?
Yeah, let's pull that up. So shout out to my mom on this one because she let me know mere moments before the show. But Hulu is running a promotion for Black Friday where you can get a year of Hulu for $1 a month, and it ends tonight. So if you want to get in on it, now's your chance. This is the ad-supported version of Hulu. So if you buy this version for $1 a month, you do have to sit through ads. So they got to make their money somewhere. They can't go bonkers. However, I mean, if you're like me, rarely do I watch TV with like 100% of my mental focus being allocated to it. So it's like, when the commercials come on, you just, turn your head to the other monitor and watch something else, or, pull out your phone and do what we did during when the commercials came on during like the entirety of our lives leading up to the point where we could stream services. So,
Exactly.
For me, I don't mind. I mean, I'm not going to lie. The only reason I'm getting Hulu is so I can watch Bob's Burgers.
Because they got all the seasons on there.
Because they got all the seasons on there. And I think it's like Netflix only ever has, or is it Netflix? One of the services I have like only ever has the most recent season. I'm like, nah. I was like, I'm trying to get my burger on Burger Unlimited. Hit me with the full season. So the only reason I'm getting it is so I can watch the entirety of Bob's Burgers. And there's a couple other stuff that's on there, but it's $1. Like even if you hate it, it's $12 for a whole year. Go ahead and buy it. See if you like it. If you do, then you stick with it. If not, then you get rid of it and you just keep watching whatever you're doing.
We're having mashed potatoes. Man. All right. That's a Bob's Burgers jokes for those that are uninitiated. So let me know when you get to the Thanksgiving episode. All right. So this one, y'all know how I feel about Zack Snyder. So let's see if I can blow this picture up for folks. Zack Snyder over the weekend made that's a really good turkey. Looks really good. Full of stuffing. And
but what's that in the back?
What is that in the background? And I was gonna say this is on Twitter. I apologize. It's on a different social media site, Vero. I haven't been on it. But it seems like some different kind of social media upstart. And this was one of the accounts where he would talk to his fans about upcoming projects. So infamously, as he was trying to build up steam for the Snyder Cut that he eventually was able to secure with HBO, he would drop stills and concept photos from what had been working on before he left Justice League. And then as he was working on it, then he continued to drop stuff for the fans and stuff on that site. So this normally would be just a turkey photo, but Eagle Eye fans noticed that there is the omnibus of Final Crisis in the background. And knowing Snyder, that is not a oversight. So does it mean that he's getting another crack at making a superhero film in the DC universe? Obviously not confirmed, but I just even me being the curmudgeon I am about Snyder had to say, okay, that seemed I mean, you got something there. I can't I can't deny
it's I mean, this is also from a film person, so like you can bet that if he posts a picture that's that's supposedly from a camera phones are sharp enough that everything in that image should be visible and easily readable, but it's not. And it's probably that way for a reason. It's not because he was just like, ooh wee, this turkey's gonna look mighty cool.
Let's see. Next up, HBO Max and Roku have traditionally not been the best of friends, even so much to be at each other's throats. Roku and other streamers have not necessarily gotten along. It's more about like screen real estate, who gets to show up on Roku devices and in what order, and on the Roku store. It's a whole thing. So the fact that upcoming Roku subscribers and devices, that maybe you just bought a brand new TV with Roku on it, or you bought a Roku device this known as Black Friday, you can now take advantage of a rare, because HBO Max doesn't tend to give out a ton of trials. They don't tend to give out a lot of 30-day trials. But you can enjoy a 30-day trial of HBO Max if you bought a brand new Roku device within this month or in the next coming months. And that will last until January 14th. So, might be a sign that these two are burying the hatchet, but we shall see.
Zombie hatchet. The solution.
Zombie hatchet. That's all for the quick hits.
Moving into For the Cinephiles. We got Rangers of the New Republic updates. While the series is unfortunately no longer in development, Kathleen Kennedy had assured fans in a recent interview with Empire that elements of the planned show will end up in The Mandalorian and various upcoming Star Wars property. Kennedy, is this the one that I'm trying to remember her real name? That the actress from The Mandalorian was supposed to be the star of? Or a primary.
But I'll pull it up real quick.
Or it might be. There's so many new Star Wars shows coming out that I'm like, I'm getting mixed up with which ones.
Gina Carano. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she would have been. They kind of had created a backdoor pilot to it in The Mandalorian when the when Paul Sung-Yi's character that was the X-wing fighter. He let Mando go, but he was like talking to her like, hey, we could use like the new Republic's in dire straits. We could use people like you. So yeah, that's kind of what they were hinting to, was that this would So I'm quite sure not being able to have her as the lead hurt this tremendously. But you think they would have just
recast her?
Yeah, recast or focus on another character.
Yeah, I don't know. But I think this was the one that suffered because of the razzmatazz with that. So, but I wasn't sure, so I wanted to double check. Cool. You want to take the next one?
Yeah.
Because I got a bunch of stuff in the game section, so gotcha. I'll be prattling on for a while.
So this one was. I've never actually seen this happen before. Also, Taryn, thank you for pulling the names up. I didn't see that you'd done that, so thank you for that.
Oh, yeah, thanks, Taryn. Good looking at it.
So normally, this happens the other way. If you have an R-rated or unrated movie, or like TV, like an X-rated, not necessarily, not this movie was X-rated, but if anything that's R-rated or even PG-13 movie, sometimes when it goes to a TV, like a cable station or network TV, it's either trimmed down for just like time's sake of like, we're going to remove one or two scenes just to kind of compress this down so it fits within a 2-hour time frame or 2.5-hour time frame with commercials, and or just like censoring, like if there's more F-bomb, things like that getting censored. Mm-hmm. But this has happened in the reverse. HBO Max accidentally put the TV 14 version of the Birds of Prey movie on HBO Max. So on November 14th, there had been it just dropped off from the service for a bit, which isn't uncommon. If they're getting ready to do shake up or like let someone else stream it for a bit, they might turn it off on HBO Max for a bit to make it more lucrative somewhere else. So that's what we thought was happening. And it just seems like something happened behind the scenes. So fans have cried foul play or intentional censoring, but it seems like it was just a legitimate mistake. I can't find anything. Like, it doesn't seem like HBO Max did this on purpose. They have so many other shows on there that it's HBO. Mm-hmm. There's so many other worse things as far as like content wise, as far as like vulgarity or anything like that. That I don't know. It just, at least from what I can tell in reporting, it seems like it was just a mistake. But glad they got it resolved. You can watch the full not director's cut, but theatrical version as it was meant to be on HBO Max.
Yeah, sometimes like when you're deploying stuff, versions get goofed and you end up accidentally releasing the wrong version of stuff. Previously, in earlier years, it was a much bigger problem when like you printed everything to disc and you accidentally made 60,000 copies of the wrong version of the game, or something like that, or it happens. It's just a mistake, sometimes that it goes out. And
that's never happened in gaming,
right?
No.
As a fun anecdote, one of the folks I really enjoy watching on YouTube, I think it's Fact Hunt Gaming, or Guru Larry isn't the guy's name who does it, has a video of like 10 mistakes that happened, or 6 mistakes that happened in video gaming. And in one case there was some game that put out a demo of their game, which only had the first 2 levels on it, but it was actually it was actually the full version of the game, just that was truncated, and it would just had a thing at the end of the level where it would just reset. But the cheat code screen was still active, so you could put in the cheat code to skip to level 3 and then play the whole game normally. So they accidentally gave out just free copies of their game.
Wow.
Oopsie doopsie.
Oopsie poo. Oh, goodness. And then lastly, I'll go ahead and wrap up the Cinephile section.
Yeah, you go for it.
We are going to talk about this a little bit more on Thursday night because, hey, plug, Red Shirt Rejects is going to be talking about Season 4 of Star Trek Discovery. But we also talked about the premiere episode, and CBS Paramount decided to shaft their international fans. When the premiere of Season 4 came out, international fans, particularly if you lived in Europe and surrounding Nordic countries, found out that you would not be able to watch Star Trek Discovery, which at that time was being streamed on Netflix, as Paramount Plus has not rolled out to every country in the world yet. That's kind of a pretty bad blow for the most popular show on that streamer, and for fans that were, the day of the premiere finding that out.
Paramount
Paramount has come up with a fix though on the Viacom CBS owned Pluto TV station, online streamer. The previous episodes that have already aired this season and upcoming future episodes will come out on Fridays on the Pluto TV service, only if you're in those affected countries though. So if you use Pluto TV here, you still would need to watch it on Paramount Plus. You wouldn't be able to watch it on Pluto TV. But like if you live in Europe or any of the affected countries, you'll be able to watch it. So again, I get wanting to consolidate everything under Paramount Plus, like that tracks. That's what a lot of other streamers have been doing, like, to get that. But that the timing could not have been worse. And then you don't have Paramount Plus ready to roll out yet to these other spaces. Like it's not good, fam.
Yeah, that's not. It's a timing release thing where it's like if you release it too soon, It's hard to explain, but yeah. Cool. Does that bring us? I believe that brings us to the top of game time.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So this is interesting. So we have a new Dragon Ball Z game on the horizon, called Dragon Ball Z: The Breakers. It was announced. This was actually announced not this past week, but I believe the week before. And the official announcement came out, and essentially, I forget the genre that this game is called. But it's similar to the horror style game where you have, man, I cannot remember the name of that. Basically, where there's one person who is the hunter and everybody else who's the hunted, and you have to complete some task before they can basically track down and kill everybody or do whatever. In this one person, they're doing their Dragon Ball, basically multiverse time razzmatazz, where villains across the multiverse of time stuff in Dragon Ball Z are appearing in different places, and all the other characters play as regular, non-superpowered individuals who are just trying to, get out and get away and run away from whomever the villain is. So in the trailer, you play as, I think they show off First Form Cell. And your job is to go through and kill everybody or absorb the humans who are running around West City and that kind of thing. And like they're trying to, shoot bazookas at them and like get to the time machine and do all this other stuff. It looks interesting. This particular genre of game, I've played it a bunch of different times, and like I've never quite been pulled in by it. But folks who enjoy those kinds of games and enjoy Dragon Ball are definitely probably going to be engaged by this game. Okay, cool. Vashes just says asymmetric multiplayer. That's the name I'm looking for. Yeah, it looks really interesting. It's definitely from somebody who has been playing Dragon Ball Z games for the past like 20 years. Like they're more or less always the same kind of game. It's either like pseudo open world RPG or fighting game. And for them to take, or a card game variant of whatever, and for them to take, a new kind of fresh look at Dragon Ball, I think that's super great. I'm not sure if this is the Dragon Ball game for me, because I'm totally content to just keep buying, essentially the Dragon Ball Z story where we just talk about Goku and do the whole gambit and razzmatazz. I'll just keep buying those games forever. So, they already got my market cornered. But I'm really glad to see them taking this in a new direction and doing some new fun and interesting things with the Dragon Ball IP. Moving on, slide into the left. Warner Brothers. This was another one that came out 2 weeks ago. I forgot to mention it at last week's show. But Warner Brothers platform fighter, quote unquote, platform fighter, Multiverses has been officially announced. We have a couple of details that they've come out with for the show. Basically, for the game rather. Basically, if you're not familiar at all with it, this is Smash Brothers, but with Warner Brothers characters. That's it. It's Smash Bros. Warner Brothers characters. If you remember, Sony did the same thing a couple years ago where they tried to get into the platform fighting market. Their IPs, like they kind of pick and chose ones that like didn't fit as well together for this one. But I feel, looking at the tone and the style that Warner Brothers seems to be going for multi-verses, looks pretty interesting. So here on screen currently, you can see there's Jake the dog from Finn and Jake fighting on what appears to be Finn and Jake's house as a battlefield, fighting Harley Quinn, Batman, and Arya Stark, who again would be a character who you would be like, I'm not sure if this is going to fit in a platform fighter, but having looked at the gameplay, it looks pretty neat. Also, some details that we have about the game is that there's a focus on team play. They'll of course have the individual free-for-all mode, but there's a focus on combos and setups and other sorts of stuff like that. The team seems to have taken a real focus or acknowledgement of competitive gameplay. So there's cross-platform play. There's also guilds. There's teams that you can play on within those guilds, of course. Skins for new characters. Different modes that you can play in. There seems to be a leveling system, and as well as some skills that you can configure for your character, which are players or people, because not players yet, but people are hypothesizing like change stuff like how heavy your character is, or how much knockback you can generate, or different attributes like that. They seem to fall into like 3 different categories of like either power, like skills, or speed, and they probably modify some of those kinds of things. And they'll also have events that will happen regularly. Also, there's I don't know if you have the other picture, Kenny. Shaggy from Scooby Doo. Okay, I ripped that one from the video. I don't know if you can grab it from the notes. I threw it in there, but Shaggy from Scooby Doo is in the game, and he's pretty much just Ultra Instinct Shaggy, like straight out of the memes. Like he can go Super Saiyan. He seems to be like super cool. Like there's like a cool version of Shaggy. So I'm glad as a memester myself. I'm glad that games imitate memes, which imitate life. And Ultra Instinct Shaggy has indeed made it into the Warner Brothers game.
Gotcha. I apologize, folks. Yeah, I can't.
No worries. But sliding on down to the rocking around the NFT tree, because
Nice
other studios have commented on NFTs. I believe it was the CEO of PlayStation we talked about briefly last week.
Phil Spencer, Xbox.
He said that there's probably a place for NFTs. It's probably not in gaming, and most of the time, most of the actors that he sees utilizing it aren't utilizing it as a means to help expression, entertainment, and creativity flourish, but in actuality just using it as a means to monetize things and just make a quick buck off of folks. So of course EA says that NFTs and blockchain are the future for how they can evolve gaming. So this one's an anecdote from Games Hub, which also covered the story during an earnings call detailing EA's results for the 2022 financial year so far. CEO Andrew Wilson made some interesting comments about the future of the games industry, which have many folks talking. While discussing the concept of how games have evolved in the last few years, Wilson claimed that collectible digital content would play a quote-unquote significant role in the video games of the future. And he quotes, "I think that the content of the games that we create and the live services that we offer, collectible digital content is going to play a meaningful part in our future," Wilson said. They also go on to mention within the GameStop article that they're looking for individuals that they can hire at the company who know more about NFTs, supposedly trying to brainstorm or prototype some systems and frameworks wherein they could utilize NFTs within games. EA loves money. I don't really, from a gamer perspective, we already have stuff like Steam, like collectible Steam cards and like in-game tradables, and all the other shit that nobody cares about in our Steam libraries. Maybe in-game tradables because there's a very real world economy for those kind of things, which I won't get into. However, I'm on one hand, I do not doubt EA's creativity to just straight up fuck things up. Yeah. However, I would really hope that this doesn't go anywhere and it completely flops and they fail horribly and continue to do so, because it's what they deserve.
You know that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, no, they're gonna keep trying, but with basically the global market coming more and more to the terms of loot boxes are gambling. They're trying to pivot to the next hot thing to try to make more money before it can be regulated. So this is their next hot thing, and even if it don't make no damn sense, they're going to try to monetize stuff and throw NFTs into games or whatever, and in some form or fashion that doesn't make any sense. But we'll see. A brief respite. Would you like to take this next one, Kenny? The Cyberpunk one?
I would. So, Cyberpunk 2077 has cracked Steam's top 10 seller list amid their updates and price drops. So, the most recent price drop, when it had been in the $60 range, now puts it at $30. And again, this company, even though we said they won't be pushing out new updates and or the Series X and PS5 actual versions until January. The PC version had been fixed. What played the best from the start. It's constantly gotten updates and just gotten better and better. So that certainly helped. And also the Steam reviews have generally started to become more positive for the game. Also helping it tick up and very more favorable than not than where it used to be at. So again, if you're a console player of this, unless you're playing on Series X or PS5, even though it doesn't have the next gen, it's not the actual next gen version. Those are kind of playable. But if you're a PC player doing this, Cyberpunk 2077 has been solid, decent, and at least it's on the right track. It's on a
definitely
much better path than it was.
Yeah, PC people like myself, we're in a pretty good spot for the bulk of the Cyberpunk release. It's really the console people that kind of got hosed on that one, unfortunately.
Somewhere that we're all getting hosed, though. There is no multiplayer coming to Ghostbusters.
Oh, man.
So I have been playing this remaster, and it looks really good. And people have already grabbed video on it, thrown it up on YouTube, so you can watch the game effectively if you want to. Just, it's just so beautiful. So now when they actually say, "Hey, this is the Ghostbusters free," you can really be like, "It is." I would watch that. But if you're like, "What is he talking about? Multiplayer of Ghostbusters?" I never remember any multiplayer of Ghostbusters. You're right. when it was announced, they said you'd be able to co-op and capture ghosts of your buddy. Yeah, co-op there in the living room or on the line nowadays. So there was a co-op version planned. Matt McKnight over at Saber Studios, who's the VP, said as much, that there had been a studio that was independently working on the multiplayer. That should be your first flag. Independent studio working on the multiplayer. I'm not saying that you can't have other folks working on different games within your franchise. Outsourcing a piece like that, just my ears go up. Doesn't mean it has to be a disaster, but just my ears prick up. So much so that back in 2009, when the original game came out, there were 6 different code versions of the multiplayer, and they were not able to ship that out completed. Also meaning that when Saber Studios came along to do the remaster, they didn't really know what to work off of to fix that. And unfortunately, apparently the project is just too daunting to continue, and they're just going to have to leave the multiplayer on the ground floor again.
Sad reacts only.
Mm-hmm. That would have been cool. Would have been nice.
Yeah. Sliding into the company on my shirt, Nintendo joins the realm of folks who have spoken out against Activision. So previously we mentioned that it was the Microsoft CEO had spoken out against Activision actively. Since then,
Sony, Jim Ryan over Sony.
Yeah, Sony. My bad. I keep getting my PlayStation and Microsoft mixed up. But yeah, he had spoken out against them. Nintendo's Doug Bowser has also done so. He sent an internal email addressing what's been going on with Activision directly. And it's just to share a short excerpt of that email. Along with all of you, I've been following the latest developments with Activision Blizzard and the ongoing reports of sexual harassment and toxicity at the company. I find these accounts distressing and disturbing, and they run counter to my values as well as Nintendo's beliefs, values, and policies. And he goes on to talk about like a bunch of things about like the culture that they want to cultivate, and that they're there to operate amongst an atmosphere or there to operate and cultivate an atmosphere of equality and such things with their community. And other folks have pointed out, like, stuff can come out about any company, and as things are bubbling to the surface, more and more people are being heard. So currently Nintendo's in the clear. They, as far as what Doug Bowser has said, like that's, it seems to be totally reasonable, and that they appear to be operating as such, at least until, at least somebody says something like, hey, you're not quite that great. Like, so far Nintendo's doing all right. For Sony, they recently had somebody raise a what was it? What's the phrasing I'm looking for? An inequality lawsuit wherein there was one woman who had reportedly been passed over for promotions multiple times, and had brought up that women progress slower in the company as well as other things. So it's poorly timed for PlayStation for their CEO to come out and say, yo, Activision, y'all are messing up, and then simultaneously have somebody raise a discrimination lawsuit against them, which is trying to become class action because multiple women have had this problem. It is not yet. It's still in its infancy of where that is, so it's not yet seen if like maybe this is a small intrapersonal thing where within a particular group of managers or for some subset of the project that this is happening and it's kind of a bubble, or if it's a more widespread issue. So we'll keep a close eye on it. Just because it's currently smaller doesn't mean that it doesn't deserve the same review and like a keen eye as the Activision Blizzard stuff. So the Activision Blizzard stuff is a massive top-down company-wide problem that thousands have confirmed. This one is just getting started, so we'll see if it's more than a couple of like a collection of bad managers who are all sitting next to each other, or if this is a more systemic issue within their company as a collective. But we'll keep an eye on that. Right now it's moving. I believe the lawsuit came through, I want to say today's the 29th, so I think that was the 22nd. So it's only been a little bit. So we'll keep an eye on it and see how it develops and keep you posted.
Right.
Alrighty, and that brings us into Check the Tech.
Check the Tech.
Would you like to take the first one?
Oh yeah, I got it, man. I like how.
I just think it's crazy how.
Yeah, The Verge ended up reporting on this. So, if you're aware of what RCS is, it's a protocol between messaging, or basically it's a text messaging protocol that helps apps talk amongst each other. Google had to kind of knock some heads with Android and other phone providers to be like, look, we get all on the same RCS standard, Android, at least like first we can get Android together. So that's a little bit of the backstory you need to know here. So if you ever wondered why your particular Android device was always having issues interpreting what iMessage was doing, like if you had a friend send a like, your individual app might understand what was going on, but generally the overall architecture RCS was not properly implemented to be able to handle it. And Android Google was able to fix that over the last 2 or 3 years and got everyone on board. Well, mostly on board. So an additional update is rolling out specifically to Google Messenger. I would assume this will roll out to all Android devices if it works out well on Google Messenger, but probably would expect to see this happen across that whole RCS network. But what you'll be able to finally do is when someone likes a message on your on your text, you won't see an additional text message pop up saying so and so liked your message. Because then, if anyone's aware of how annoying that can be, it just clutters up your entire feed. So this should be the fix. And I was, as much as people will say like Apple's better messenger for that. It's like, no, you're just used to talking to other iPhone users. It's like, all right, come on. Although I will say the likes feature in that is rather nice. I'm not down in it. Android didn't have that before, so I'll let you have that, Apple. I'll let you have it. This is one that feels weird.
Oh yeah.
Adele got the shuffle button removed from her albums. The artist contends that the albums were meant to be listened to a certain way, and while that's an admirable desire, it's at odds with how streaming platforms work and/or user autonomy. Now, granted, you can still pull the songs out, put them in a different playlist if you wanted to. You could still effectively shuffle the album on your own, but just that button is gone for your ability to do that. I don't know. It hit me weird.
Yeah. So once I read this one, it made more sense. So my understanding was prior to her request, albums shuffled by default, depending on how you selected to play them. And basically her request was like, hey, can you not do that? Because especially for like, if you listen to prog rock, you immediately know how much of a problem this is, because like usually songs flow into one another. So if it shuffles by default, then that doesn't happen anymore. If you're, for other cases where you're trying to simply curate a whole vibe of like, you as a fellow DJ, like you understand how like sometimes if you create a playlist, you have, a whole flow that you're meant to experience from end to end. And by having it shuffle by default, which you would have to disengage, when you hit, the play album button, she was like, hey, can you make it not do that? Because, most people probably don't intend that when you say play album that it shuffles the songs randomly. And
hold up, I'm gonna take back my intro for this. Maybe I know, folks, I'm learning something on air. Okay, maybe maybe my Spotify's already turned to like just play default. Because that's why I was so confused.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you talking about?
I was like,
default?
what do you mean take away the shuffle? And apparently, because mine is probably configured to do the same thing, because I imagine that me being a technical person, when I got in there and hit play all, like on an album that I'm familiar with, and it starts shuffling it on math, I would have been like, oh, I'm turning this crap right off. And so I probably would have done that, when I downloaded the app and never thought about it ever again. But if you're rocking and rolling with default Spotify configuration, then it might be shuffling your albums automatically. Because people are like, how do I change this thing? And the answer is it's in the settings. That's what settings means. Just go to the settings. But if you don't know that, it's been randomly shuffling your albums every time you hit play album, I believe if you go to the album page and hit the first song, unless you have it configured to shuffle, it'll play it in order, like the way that it usually does for your queue. But if you hit the play album button, then it would by default shuffle the songs and just kind of play them in whatever order. Yeah, part of the reason I think that they changed it was because it was an exceptionally reasonable request, and it was probably not operating as intended, because most users wouldn't expect that when you hit a play all button that it would also shuffle it, when if you go to the album and hit the top one that it doesn't do it, especially if you already have it turned off. So it made sense to me.
Okay. Yeah, now we're on the same page. I apologize, folks. I will retract my intro to that. It was a little biased towards like, why are you asking for that kind of request? It seems like
the reason I didn't interrupt you because initially I thought the same thing, and I had to dig a little bit further. And there was one article that happened to explain what the default configuration was, and I was like, for real? Is it? Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. Wow.
Does that mean Adele is rocking with default Spotify configuration? To know about it?
It's got to.
Or maybe somebody told her about it, and they were like, "Hey, Spotify's messing up your album." And she was like, "What?"
I actually listened to it once and was like, "Wait, what?"
I was like, "Hold up,
wait a minute." All right. Yeah, sorry, Adele. My bad.
my B."
Right. You know that.
Oh yeah, I can take the next one. Do you have any more?
No, that's it for Adele.
All right, cool. So Facebook, quote unquote Meta, if they're still trying to steal that name from that other company, is
How is that
delaying.
going to work?
Yeah, I don't know. They need to just pay them a reasonable amount of money. They keep trying to shortchange them for their name and be like, "Yo, how about $10,000?" It's like, if you got money, give it to them.
Pay what you owe.
Exactly, right? But now it's like, now it's a pride thing, because it's like, first you tried to steal their name, so it's like, no, I'm not going to sell it to you. Pick another name. Take another lame name for your company. So Meta, or Facebook, delays their message encryption until 2023. Meta wants to roll out the feature to Facebook Messenger and Instagram, but will delay the implementation to 2023 to make sure that they get it right, which is a reasonable means. End-to-end encryption, which basically keeps your data safe between yourself, the intended recipient, and from the company itself, is a great feature that a bunch of different apps have, like Signal, or what's the other one called? Wicker? I'm gonna say it. I think that's one. But Kenneth, you have some doubts as to what that means for large corporations like Facebook and Google.
Yeah, it's, to be clear, since I myself did not write the messaging app, and that my friends who are going to use it did not write the messaging app, we could never be with 100% certainty know that your messages are never being intercepted, at least from the way that maybe a particular company advertises itself. Although we know how end-to-end encryption ought to work, so there'll be some flags of like, that's not doing what you. There'll be some things to figure out. Mm-hmm. I personally, though, just don't trust Facebook and Google to use end-to-end encryption on there. Like, I'd rather use someone else. Like, as I mentioned, Signal. If there's other companies, I'd rather use them. I'm not gonna be expecting that from Google or Facebook, even if they say that those messages are confidential and are encrypted between you and your the friend or person that you're trying to interact with. So, I would need a little bit more public confidence before I'd be willing to. Not that I'm really sending anything that secure or anything that I feel like needs to be that secure, but if I wanted to, I don't know.
Yeah, I got you. When it comes to like end-to-end encryption, part of what people or applications and so forth usually advertise is it bookends your security a lot more tightly, where if you which is why my understanding of why people like to use other kinds of applications for end-to-end encrypted conversations is because if you lose your password, you're basically locked out of the system and you're pretty much fucked. So if you like don't have meaningful password recovery means or whatever, or you're doing whatever, because most of your stuff is encapsulated to that account, if you can't get back in, then like all those conversations are gone. And you can't get them back. And there's nothing that the company can do, because they're like, oh, it's end-to-end encrypted between you and the recipient, so not even we can get in. Which is the way that I prefer it to be, because any time where there's some legal body was like, but could you open a back door into those messages? Like, then that's just like then don't bother to encrypt it at all, because if there's a back door, then you might as well not even have walls at all. Like, that's the way it works. It is either a black box or it's not a box. There is no in between. So the more I like seeing large companies expressed interest and desire between end-to-end encryption to give people basically a safe means of end-to-end communication without disruption from legal entities or any of that kind of razzmatazz. Okay, I can take the last one.
All right.
Alrighty. So NYU researchers show that targeted warnings can drop the amount of hate speech on Twitter. The experiment involved flagging different accounts that used any words in hateful speech dictionaries and sending them a message from NYU created accounts that seemed official to convey their actions could lead to a suspension on the site, which led to a 10 to 20% reduction in the usage on those specific accounts. That's pretty interesting. Where, a little preemptive water bottle squirt can, or a metaphorical hand slap can keep people from, for to keep it terse, being shitty on the internet. And I think because those kind of systems don't exist, of somebody saying like, hey, or an automated entity going like, hey, you need to knock that shit off before it executes, will be more effective in the long run than what's the word I'm looking for? Reactionary means. So pretty much to detail out what I mean is pretty much our entirety of online censorship actions are mostly reactionary. Like you're on a forum, like the olden days. You're on a forum, and somebody types something inflammatory or whatever, and then the mod comes by and they flag it, or they remove the comment, or they ban the person or suspend the person. It's the thing happens, and then we do something about it. But having like a bot come through, or some kind of message that gets sent of like before you post it, that says like, hey, we're probably going to reprimand you if you post this, so be aware of that. That can cut down on, or that's more of the preemptive kind of response. In this case,
could you not?
Yeah.
could you?
In this case, because it's through Twitter from another account, like they obviously don't have like the means or the legs, so to speak, to preemptively do it. But if some service were implemented ahead of time that basically scans your post for like hate speech or what have you, and says, yo, we're gonna, like, if you post this, we're gonna review it, and if we find that it's inflammatory or hateful in whatever means, like, we're gonna reprimand you, then maybe they might not hit enter.
Mm-hmm.
So
for those who might be concerned, NYU did not lie to users saying that they were Twitter officials. Like, they made accounts that sounded official-ish. So like if you actually looked at it, you'd be able to tell like, oh, that's not it's not a Twitter, like it's not some Twitter admin that's come out of.
Yeah, it's a TW1TT3R.
Well, I mean, but some of them were just like hate speech moderator.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, like, okay. Yeah, that sounds official.
And then some of the conclusions that NYU came from this was, coming from an official body like Twitter might be more impactful than what we did in the study. So there would be definitely lead more credence to folks that have been asking for more options on these sites, rather than just having an AI auto ban someone for using a particular word. Not that the AI can't flag the word, but there's really nothing else happening there. It's just like if you say the wrong word on Facebook, it just yeah. Cool. All right, that's it for Check the Tech. We'll talk to man, I decided to end the show like this. I apologize.
Oh yeah.
Well, the
you
first
want
one's
to do the
fine.
first?
The last one's.
I was gonna say, you want to do the second one first and the first one second.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, I'll let you kick it off.
You think I wouldn't have to say this? And when I give you the context, this will make a lot more sense. But Iran is trolling American gamers with a Black Lives Matter aimed video game. No, I did not stutter. That is the truth.
Mm-hmm.
A game called Save the Freedom will have you work through 30 different levels in an American city. And if you complete the task, the goal is to save George Floyd's life from the tragic events that happened to him in the summer of 2020. Wow.
There's always one every couple of years of somebody's like, I'm gonna make a game about whatever. And it's like, there's arguments to be made about blah 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 artistic expression, but there's some stuff you just don't do, and this files under never do this ever again.
Yeah. So for folks that are like bewildered, so this is definitely aimed at Black Americans, particularly trying to sow discord, and not that. Well, I think what's funny is like, Iran, you don't really need help sowing discord. Black folks, I don't want to say blanket all Black folks, but there's already I think there's probably a healthy enough amount of distrust in the American government. So this is a particular group. Now, I don't want to necessarily equate them to the CIA, Iranian CIA, but they are effectively a psychological operations group. Their sole purpose is just to try to sow discord or to try to weaken American democracy and so on and so forth. So, so that's what this is aimed at. It's not even legit like a game company. It's just like, oh, we thought this was a good idea. It's like,
it's a propaganda thing, and it's like there's the incident itself serves that purpose better than any mockery of it ever could. Right. Like there's nothing gained or like added to by creating this. All it does is just infuriate people.
Yeah.
But speaking of fury, and transitional segues to something that is substantially less heavy, fans are boycotting Hawkeye over David Aja, an artist, not being paid for his work on the Hawkeye comic series. Let me rephrase that. Not being paid more for his work on the Hawkeye comic series. David Aja had pointed out that there was a number, basically all of the new promotional material for the Hawkeye show premiering through Disney had been pretty much directly derivative from his artwork for the Hawkeye comic book series. And they pretty much like just straight up stole his artwork and made an inspired version for the TV show. And you can see from the images that Kenny selected on screen, from the comic book to the advertisement material for the show, it is very directly derivative, like completely. Not even what's the phrase? Familiar yet legally distinct. Not even. It's exactly the same. It's exactly the same.
It's like he's trivia answered in the form of a question.
Yeah, it's like, oh, well, maybe if we have him holding his bow with the other way, and nobody will notice. It's like, nah, you just, they didn't credit him for his artwork. They didn't pay him anymore to use it in another position. They just took it and was like, well, he technically works for us anyway, so sure.
And that's the thing I want to get people to. So I want to make sure my comments are not callous towards fans that want to see David get paid more. And I'm definitely with David. Obviously, he should get paid more.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is not a but. It's in addition to the area we need to critique is how comic artist contracts happen. Mm-hmm. Because legally, how it stands right now, it would be out of Disney could just pay him more because of the outrage that's happening, but Disney doesn't have to do anything because they own that design and concept. David could be mad about that, but legally he has no foot to stand on. It's the same thing like if you create a character and you're under like the legal razzmatazz and settlements sometimes have meant that a company will pay you money just so they don't have to hear anything about it. But if you've looked at like the Schuster family and different comic book families that have held the rights to like Superman, Batman, different things like that, that try to get extra dollars when a new blockbuster stuff comes out. Again, the company might pay just to make the thing go away, but the legal precedent has been, no, you did that for hire, so the company owns it.
So the company owns the property. Yeah.
Right.
And from a technical perspective, like that's absolutely right. But the way that these things should work is they should be should be some royalty clause of like, hey, you created this thing for us. If it blows up, then you're entitled to some percentage of everything that we do with that character. That might end up being, if it's a big movie, maybe you get 2%. If it's another comic book run, maybe it's like 1.5 or maybe 1.8%. If it's whatever, like, you don't have to, if you like, you just came up with the idea and we'll do all the other work for production, but this was your character that you created and you put you brought life to, and the reason that we're able to do what we're doing is because you did it, and so we'll give you money a little bit for that every time forever.
Yeah.
And this could just be a flat rate of like, hey, we're using the design again. We really like that you did it, and we're gonna give you a flat bonus because you did a really good job. So every time that we use something that's derivative by this thing, like, we'll say directly derivative from this thing, we'll give you an X% bonus of whatever your current salary is or something. Seems reasonable. Disney's got Disney money, after all.
Yeah. So that's why I definitely want to be like, yeah, don't take my comments to Callus. He should get paid more. But legally, he doesn't have a foot to stand on. This is a thing that we need to see change happen over time. Or not necessarily over time thing, but that's the change that needs to happen. Mm-hmm. The unfortunate thing is I don't know what we would do about, there's so many things that have already come out, will come out, and there's so many comic stories that still haven't been touched that, like, this is not going to be the last time this happens, and I don't know what you do contractually about that. Like, how do you go back, like, again, going back to those legal precedents, that the reason you also haven't heard a lot of uproar about this from other artists and writers is that they know what they've signed also, so like their feet are,
they're aware.
Yeah, they're aware that they're kind of being shafted effectively. So yes, we should definitely say more about it. Fans should definitely say more about it. But this is what I want you to, like, hone in on is thick. We need better contracts, and we can write. You could still add a royalty kicker. There's nothing saying you can't add. Just make a new contract. That's even with everything I just said right there about, like, they know they're kind of under the fire. It's like, well, we could advocate Disney to write new contracts for the previous folks that were working under Marvel. Oh gosh, last thing to be thinking about too, the Disney Marvel merger. That also, the sneaky. This is another thing to keep in mind too. The sneaky thing that can happen in a merger, and what companies will try to do also. It partially applies here, is that if that contract was written.
Yeah. So I see what you're getting at with the
Disney
with
may
the
have
merger.
bought the rights for that character and everything that comes with it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they have to bring on the royalties that were brought onto it. Now, legally, that is a no-no. Now, if you buy a property and there was royalties to be paid out on that thing, it doesn't matter that it changed hands. Now, you could renegotiate it, but that doesn't mean that just disappears. But what some companies will try to do, Disney has done this multiple times, is try to be like, nah, we're not paying that anymore.
It's like, what if we try saying no first?
And then make you have to go to court and spend money and get lawyers to try to get the money that was rightfully yours for royalties anyway. Yes. So again, hopefully nothing read pro corporation or pro Disney in that. Like, I think they should pay what they need to pay, but I just want to make sure we focus on what can make this a lasting change, because it's not just David Aja that's being affected here. There's a lot of artists that get affected by this. All right, yeah, thank you for flopping that order, because that was a better way to close out.
I think that was the way to go. I was like, you really want to have the show on this one? Okay.
Let's see. What are we gonna?
I think that's the last main topic, which brings us to our outro. What's going down on Nerd Union this weekend?
Yeah, Tuesday night, Commander Ship Show. I'll be going over this weekend's box office, which included Encanto, House of Gucci, and Spencer. Well, Spencer had already been out for a bit, but there's still some other movies to talk about. Encanto did really well. So basically, I'll give you my thoughts on those, tell you about what happened, and give you a little bit of my thoughts on Hawkeye. The first 2 episodes, right before episode 3 airs on Disney Plus. Later this week, we got The Quorum meets every Thursday at 7 p.m. Central. We are starting Cowboy Bebop live action, and we'll also be discussing Hawkeye episodes 1 and 2. Taryn, are you still there? Is it just episodes 1 and 2? Is that what we did? We're going to be 3 and 4 next week. You let me know. Follow the Discord. You'll get an update on it. At 9 o'clock on Thursday, Red Shirt Rejects will be covering Star Trek Discovery, which we already talked about in the show as well. So if you've been keeping up with Star Trek Discovery, we'll definitely be giving you an update on how we think the season's gone so far. To also talk a little more in depth about what happened with that whole international release and so on and so forth.
Nice. Well, I accidentally closed the wrong thing. Cool. And we want to give we have Taryn Bell with the rundown coming up on Friday. It's our weekly news wrap-up that covers all the stuff that happened in the week that we couldn't squeeze into any of our other shows. And we want to give a special thanks to our Patreon supporters because we appreciate y'all's monthly contributions to help us run these dank live shows and do other cool events and so forth. I want to give a special shout-out to Doug Schumann and Shelby Johnson. Do you want to hit the throwback this week, Kenny?
Yes. So, because we've been talking about multiverse, Steve mentioned this game. But one moment. As I pull it off my shelf. It's actually a pick your poison. So, there's PlayStation Move Heroes, which is like kind of like a platformer. So it wasn't necessarily focused on battling per se, but more of like just. I'm trying to remember what. Yeah, there's some loose story about how that I don't remember. There's some loose story about how these characters got thrown together and need to escape from the person that's put them all together. I don't remember. It's been a long time. But you did get to use the Move controller there. And in the game specifically that Steve was talking about, PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, where you get to just go ham against other Sony characters and, in a very Smash-esque type side-scrolling brawler. That one's... I like the Move one better. Is that sacrilege?
Nah.
It has been a while since I played that. I think they're both really solid pickups, and they're probably super cheap right now. If you go look at your local game store, if you can find it on PS3, probably very easy to go pick up. If you still have a PS3, I don't know, maybe download it from the PlayStation Store if it's still available. Cool. Yeah, and that's my throwback.
Let me think. For my throwback, I've been going through a lot of Flash games. Honestly,
the ones that don't work anymore.
I downloaded like an extension from my browser so I could play Flash games again. No,
I didn't know we could do it.
Yeah, so way back was a game. What was that? Stick RPG was one of the big ones. Now Stick RPG lived in limbo for a long time because the developers plural singular ? Stopped working on it, and then with Flash games it's like once you put it out there, like you just gotta release another one. So they came up with Stick RPG Complete, which was like the actually finished version of the demo that stopped being worked on, and then later we got Stick RPG 2. So I've been going back to play Stick RPG 2, which has been fun. It's fun to dance around like the relics of old, with like some of these old school Flash games that came out, in like the 2000s or like 2000, like early 2010s or whatever. So that's been a lot of fun. So I've been playing Stick RPG Complete. I played through Stick RPG 2, and then to throw one more in there, because I feel like Flash games aren't worth as much in terms of a throwback. Swords and Sandals, which was a gladiator style turn-based turn-based RPG-ish gladiator fighting game thing. It was neat. It was fun. It was very silly. But yeah, those are my my weekly throwbacks. Old Flash games that you can't play anymore. That's kind of a hassle for you to do so now. Right on.
A nice cup of tea came in late, but good to see you for a little bit. Appreciate you stopping by. And yes, our editor Jerry will get these videos up so you can catch the recaps or short clips. Or hey, this will be available if you want to go back and rewatch our beautiful faces. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Hey, my PS3 is still new. Hey, so is mine. I kept mine in immaculate condition. I could eat off of my PS3 if I wanted to. Mm-hmm. What, Taryn? Matrix. Yes, The Matrix this Friday, 8 p.m. Central.
There we go.
I will have a re-review. A throwback review, whatever we're calling it.
A review.
Review. Yes. Review on this Friday of The Matrix. I don't know where that voice is. I don't know where I'm going with it. I don't know why. It should not be a thing. And on Sunday.
Sunday.
We'll be doing the Animatrix. So.
Ooh, nice.
Yes, Taryn, I rescheduled it. I fixed it. Okay? I fixed it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Something everyone also should know. This will. Wait. Oh no, I have one more broadcast. So this will be my second to last broadcast with glasses.
Yeah, you're doing the thing.
I'm doing the thing, getting eye surgery. So hoping everything goes well. There's no complications. I did. You might notice the studio is brighter. I did not plan that out well. I put new lights in, got new, so everything's very bright in the room, and have a surgery that requires you to. If I'm in here wearing sunglasses,
you'll know why.
Yes, you but he just.
He's like, so cool.
That will not be the case. Cool. All right, folks, that has been State and Nerd Union. My host, Eminent Doom X. It's been fantastic, as always. We will see you all next week.
Alrighty. Take care. Peace.
Where's the button?